So Guy Ritchie has been on a roll these past few years, just cranking out movie after movie after movie after movie after TV series after movie, and this is the latest, The Fountain of Youth, which is an Apple TV film. Chris and I just watched this last night. It is written by James Vanderbilt, starring John Krasinski, Natalie Portman, Eiza González, and Domhnall Gleeson, along with a supporting cast. And this is like a National Treasure style of film, like Indiana Jones in the modern era. It was a fun, family-friendly heist movie, archaeology heist movie. Um, Left with an open ending that could lead to a sequel if it does well enough. We'll see. But as it goes, I don't do spoiler free on my channel, so if you haven't watched this yet, you might want to pause, go away, come back after you've seen it, or if you don't mind having a few of the spoiler things done as we talk about. I need to drink more coffee apparently. If you don't mind some of the story spoiled, stick around because we're about to dive in. Um, he is a thief. At least that's what the early portion of the film portrays him as. Turns out he's been contracted to get this painting from a client in Thailand, and we get an opening sequence of him on the run with the said painting, being chased by goons of whoever was the rich dude who had the painting. He manages to evade them through a series of really fun action sequences, and like he's on a moped and they're on cars, so there's like a chase sequence, and then he ends up on a train where we meet her character, who turns out that she's somebody else who's also looking for the same painting, but for different reasons. But he manages to elude her after a fun hand-to-hand action sequence, and then he ends up back in London, where we meet his sister, who has a son, and she is going through a complex divorce, and she is the curator of an art museum. And he shows up at the museum saying, "Hey, sis, it's been a long time," and talk. And while he's got her distracted, he steals a painting off the wall. She gives chase. They end up in a car together. There's a chase sequence through London, and she ends up in the back of a semi truck with her brother. And turns out all of the crew that used to work for their dad, because it turns out that they used to work together with their dad, who was a famous archaeologist back in the day, and it's been about 10 years since he's passed. She's moved on to become the art curator for a museum and has a son with a husband that she's now divorcing as part of the film's storyline, and he has moved on with the entire crew and basically procures items for people. In this case, we have one extremely wealthy billionaire with a B who is funding this entire enterprise because he is after the Fountain of Youth, because he is dying of, I think it was liver cancer, and he wants to find the Fountain of Youth to cure himself. Of course, she wants nothing to do with it, and he manages to, he's like, fine, whatever. Puts the piece of art back in the museum. She goes back. Um, there's an Interpol agent who shows up when the painting gets back, so that she's off the hook, but she still ends up losing her job, which frees her up to join their crew, which seems like it was all his plan in the first place to convince her to join them, because she has her own set of skills related to her intelligence, and the way they used to work together with their dad many, many, many years ago. And of course, she's reluctant to do this whole thing because now she has a kid, she's going through divorce, all these other issues that come into play with this complex sibling relationship. Through it all, there is a lot of slapstick, kind of what I would describe as slapstick comedy. Like he's constantly trying to pull off one-liners every time he comes face to face with her, even though she's definitely, an antagonist, at least in the early parts of the film. But we do learn throughout the sequence of events that essentially the Fountain of Youth is something that has been known about and has been protected for many years by her organization, who is headed by Stanley Tucci, who actually, I believe, shot his sequences in between sets while he was on his lunch break working on that Pope show that he was doing in Rome, which I think is brilliant. So it's kind of like Chris literally said in the middle of the movie, she's like, "Wait, are they like the Guardians, like in the Mummy films with the guys who guard the tomb?" And I'm like, "That's exactly what this is set up. They're Guardians of the Fountain of Youth." And of course, they don't want them to find the Fountain of Youth because humanity's not ready for the power of the Fountain of Youth. That's a trope that we've seen in so many films. It's like the Guardians in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's the trope from the Mummy films. It's the trope from, you name an archaeological film. There's usually some type of secret guardian organization who wants to keep the power for the people because bad people want to take that power and do bad things with it. As the film progresses, we come to find out that he does not actually have cancer. He is not a nice guy, and he is after the Fountain of Youth because he wants to bottle it and sell it and become even richer because he's not satisfied with what he has. And this um, basically, the realization is that they're working for a bad dude. She sees it earlier than he does. Eventually, he sees it as well. There's lots of like fun tension moments between the two. The kid gets a lot of the spotlight at the end because he's a musical genius, and that ends up coming into play with some of the puzzles they have to figure out throughout the film in the latter half of the movie. And of course, she ends up turning out to not be the bad guy that they show her as in the early stages of the film. You know, trope surprise. We kind of knew that was going to come. Again, lots of tropes in this movie, lots of things that we have seen done before, but it doesn't stop this from being a fun heist movie overall. There are tons of amazing sets on this film. I believe they shot on location for many things, so we go from like there's Thailand, I believe, India. There was the ocean. There was London. There was Egypt. Many Rome. Like I said, many locations that they shot on for this film. Um, and there are lots of car chase sequences, hand-to-hand action sequences, and towards the end, there's lots of gun sequences as well. So there's plenty of action to go along with the adventure heisting, plus some really cool puzzles and etc. I do kind of feel like Michael Epps' character and the other girl, like the crew, I feel like the crew is kind of wasted. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand because all he did with the crew was basically boss them around and be like, wait here by the car. Like when they weren't figuring things out on laptops, he would always just be like, wait at the car and wait for bad guys. Like every sequence where him and his sister would go off to do something like go into the museum or go into the library or something, he would literally turn around to the guys who were playing the crew and be like, wait here and watch for bad guys. And like I said, there were some parts of it that felt a little. I will also say, having a billionaire as a benefactor does take one thing away from the film, and it was one thing that kind of annoyed me the whole way throughout, which is that when you have a billionaire benefactor, they always had access to high class gadgets, boats, cars, private airplanes, all of these things that I kind of felt like took a little bit away from the overall danger of the situation because they were never really in any danger of not succeeding because they had unlimited resources because of this guy being a billionaire and being willing to do whatever it takes to get to the Fountain of Youth. Whereas a lot of times in other films, it's the scrappy underdog trying to get to the thing of power before the big bad guys do, and they're the ones who have all the unlimited resources. It didn't play out that way in this film, so that was the only negative I would say was that sometimes it felt like the stakes weren't that high because they had everything handed to them on a silver plate in terms of we have a boat, let's go. Like there was this sequence where they had to get this original copy of a Rembrandt, which was in a airtight safe down in a shipwrecked cruise ship that had gone down in the ocean, and they like did this like explanation sequence of like we've sent our submarines down and we've located the section of the ship, I'm paraphrasing here, where the safe is located. We're going to cut that section of the ship out. We're going to add flotation devices to the side. We're going to bring it up above the crush barrier to the surface, and you guys are going to go in and open the safes. And so it's like all of a sudden they show a scene of like a submarine going down and then this thing floating up, and then here we are. Here's this elaborate set on the water where we've got like flotation devices set around this ancient piece of a cruise ship, and the two siblings go in with acetylene torches or whatever and like cut open the safes and get the Rembrandt, and then there's a fight sequence with her and her guys, and it just felt like okay, it felt a little over the top. It's a popcorn film. It's nothing wrong with that. Just it's something I would point out. So overall, fun movie. Is it good enough to get a sequel? I don't know. It depends on how it gets received over on Apple Plus and beyond. But it was a fun movie. I think that for my money's worth, I could see another one, especially if they keep the family dynamic going and have it be the two siblings with the kid and having the kid grow up over the next couple of films. I think that that could be fun. She wouldn't be able to unless she comes back as like the girlfriend or something, but she would have no reason to be in the next film because she was the guardian of the Fountain of Youth, and so it would need to be about the family. Um, I don't know. It could work. Love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I review lots of films along with video games and TV shows. So hopefully we'll see you and all the other things that happen on the channel, plus the daily streams that kick off every day at 5 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. Peace.